Hi, everybody. As you know, Pierce College is moving to almost exclusively online instruction starting March 18th. For us, that means moving our on-campus or face-to-face meetings online. What this video involves is I hope detailed, explanation of how that's going to work for us, as well as where you can find the relevant materials in terms of links to our virtual classroom, and other supporting materials like videos of class meetings, videos of quote-unquote lectures or discussions of the material. Please know that while the college has suspended classes for Monday and Tuesday, so that's the 16th and 17th of March, I'm still going to be available. I'm going to be in our virtual classroom starting on Tuesday. So please feel free to join. I also posted information from our Academic Affairs Vice President that's useful to you concerning the ways in which the college is open. So for example, the library is open and how you can access your online environment through the college computers. Let's see, and then if you, so one of the things that I'll go through with you is our syllabus for the period that we're meant to be working online, so that you can see what, if anything, there is for you to complete online that otherwise would be completed in class. So when we get to that point in the video, what I will do is tell you that I will treat the in-class assignments or assessments as I would, sorry, just got an alert. I will treat the in-class assignments and assessments as I would in a regular online environment, which is to say the assessment will be open for basically a week so that you have time to complete the thing. That is in some ways much more accommodating than when we work on an assessment in class, where you come to class at a particular time and you complete the assessment in the classroom. One other thing to point out is office hours will be as usual. So you know that when you go to Canvas to our course homepage, you will see the links for a relevant set of office hours. Those will be, I will hold those as usual, but rather than being in my office, although that may happen now and then, but rather than being in my office, I will be holding my virtual office hours at my home. So you will get to see, for example, watch out, she's going to growl. Oh, she didn't growl. You'll get to see individuals like Ella McPunks a lot. So, all the usuals apply, which is to say, I'm around, I'm available. Let me know if you want to meet outside of the classroom, outside of office hours, and we will do that. Do not wait. If you have questions, problems, confusions, let me know. Using the Canvas email tool is, I think, the most efficient for both of us, because when I get messages from you through Canvas, I'm not getting any other messages. That is non-classroom messages, so I focus on that first. All right, so let's go ahead and take a look at our course, and I want to show you where you will find the link to our virtual classroom meetings, and then show you our syllabus and where any online assessments can be found and submitted. Okay, let's go. So here we are on our class homepage. Let me start with what's changed in terms of what you see. I've moved our most recent announcements. Well, actually, that's not true. I haven't moved them. I've included the most recent announcements on our homepage now. So obviously, you get those pushed out to you via email. You can also see them on the announcements link, but this might make things even easier for you. Second thing is that I have made a page where you can access, where you can see information and access our virtual classroom. on this link or copy and paste the address in another browser window address bar. But so if you click, in either case, you click or you enter the address. When the new page opens, if you haven't already done so, you might consider downloading and installing Zoom on the Zoom program on your phone or tablet or computer. Um, if you click allow, what happens is the Zoom meeting window opens up. Now it's opening up right now because I'm the meeting host. If you click on the link and go to open Zoom when our class is not in session, I think you just sort of go nowhere. In other words, it just you either get a message that says that the meeting's not in session, or you get a message saying that the um, window will open in a few minutes. Okay, so you can either do this, or you can open the meeting within a browser window if you don't want to download the program. Now, as I mentioned before, I know that you may not make a class meeting virtually, and that's totally fine. Depending on how robust, sorry, one of the puppies is jostling my machine. Depending on how robust the meeting is, I will post the video of that meeting on Canvas. I'll show you where in just a moment. But it's also the case, as you already know, that we can meet outside of classroom hours. So we can either meet during office hours, or we can arrange for another time that we can meet. Speaking of office hours, as you know, I have simultaneously online and in office hours, except for Thursdays, where I hold office hours exclusively online unless we arrange otherwise. What we will do for the moment is just meet virtually. So I will be most likely in my home office during office hours, and you can just click on the relevant link to meet. Okay, so that's how we're going to work our virtual classroom. Now, let's talk a little bit about, I will say a little bit about our upcoming exam. So you already know that we have our e-exam exercises listed. You submit those to the grade grinder. But we're also scheduled to write an in-class exam. And so what I'm going to do now is click on week number 6 and then scroll down to the exam 2 link. You'll also see written instructions for what I'm about to describe, but I want to make sure that I have this description available to you via video as well. Okay, so obviously the video that you're watching now is going to appear embedded in this page, but since I'm presently making it, you don't see the link here. But I'll also post, in addition to the video, a written set of instructions for how to complete exam 2. So you can either click on the link to download and open the PDF, or you can use the inline view option. So basically what you're going to do is this. You're going to open Bool. You are going to translate 2 sentences into Bool, which means that you'll want to be proficient with how you not only type a sentence into Bool, but then how you separate one sentence from another. So I'll give you a brief tutorial on that. Remember, there are video tutorials available, plus on the assumption that you can meet on Tuesday or Thursday of next week, or both, inclusive or, I can show you when we're meeting. Once you've completed the translation, Then you're going to use the assessment tool in Boole to determine whether or not the second sentence, that is 1B, is a consequence of the first sentence, that is 1A. Then you're going to save the file as instructed, and then you will upload that file to Canvas. More on that in a moment. Same thing, the process repeats, but with a different set of sentences and set of instructions. Namely, if you haven't already opened Boole, open Boole, or if you have it open, open a new window, and then you are going to create three separate files, three separate Boole files, each of which is devoted to determining the status of the first sentence as a truth table possible or tautology. So a truth table possible sentence or a tautology or both. And then for 3 and 4, you're going to determine whether or not the sentences in 3 and the sentences in 4 are tautologically equivalent to each other. So you're comparing the sentence negation A, disjunction B with the sentence negation parenthesis A, conjunction negation B, close parenthesis, right? So you're comparing these two with each other, and then these two with each other, right? And then finally, you are going to determine whether or not sentences 5, 6, and 7 are tautologies or Tarski's world necessities or both. So one of the things that we definitely want to talk about next week, one of the things that, one of the videos that I offer independently of a class meeting, and sorry if you heard the dog retching in the background. Anyway, she's just, barfing or coughing. Anyway, one of the things that we that I have, one of the videos I have available is a tutorial, but also there's a more extended discussion of how we distinguish a tautology from a Tarski's world necessity. Remember, the way you save the file is important, so I know who's who. And then when you save the file as instructed, when you see that X means the number of the exercise. So 5, 6, 7. Okay. Again, I will offer you the self-same instructions via a PDF if you want to just read through the instructions. Now, when you've worked the exam, then what you'll want to do is click the Submit Assignment button, and what you will do is choose the files you want to submit. So let's take a very quick look at Boole, which I have on my dock. If you are an Apple user, you can put the program in on your dock. If you are a Windows-based user, you can put the program, like a shortcut to the program, on your desktop or wherever you want. Now, remember, when you open up the Boole program, your cursor is in the sentence file, or sorry, in the sentence pane. When you want to create a sentence, then you will use the buttons or type. So for example, if I want to create the sentence, it's not the case that A is a tet, right? I do that. And then when I want to create an additional sentence, I click on the plus sign, and now I've got a separate sentence going. So that's how Boole differentiates one sentence from another. This is important when you're working an exercise where you're comparing sentences. So let's say I have the sentence not tet A, and then I have the sentence it's not the case that not tet A. I want to know if, let's say, they are equivalent or one follows from the other tautologically. Now I've got these two sentences, I can work that assessment. So I click the assessment button, and I can say that they are or are not tautologically equivalent, and then I can say that one is or is not a tautological consequence of the other or others. When you see last sentence, first sentence, that just means last sentence, first sentence from the left. So, when you begin to work with bool, so let's say I have I've got the one atomic sentence tet A, right? When I go to, I'm going to ask bool to fill the reference columns. Why aren't you doing that? Come on, you. That's strange. I'm not quite sure why that's happening. I'll just get rid of it. Okay. So, oh, I think I know why. I think I hit the plus sign and I didn't need to do that. So just click in the pane. I have my my atomic sentence tet A. I'm going to ask bool to fill the reference columns for me, which is quite helpful when you have when you have a good number of rows to generate. And then I determine my values. So I'm going to assume that you know what you're looking at, that you know the green highlight means that the determination for the negation is a reference to the atomic sentence tet A. I'm also going to assume that you know what your truth definitions are for negation. And then, so it used to be the case that there was, and maybe there is, and I'm just in an old version of bool, but the sentence number would either appear at the top here. So this would be sentence 1, this is sentence 2, or it would appear at the bottom. But the point is that when you talk about first sentence, last sentence, we're talking about first sentence, last sentence from the left, right? And notice the other nice thing too is when you click in a column under a connective, bool basically tells you which is the main connective, right? So you don't determine this leftmost negation for the second sentence until you have determined the first negation or the interior negation, right? So false, true. Now we're in a position, because the green is highlighted, to compare, or sorry, to negate false, true. Now when we click on the assessment, right, we can say that these sentences are tautally equivalent. And if you want to be, if you're feeling frisky, you not only can click that indeed the last sentence is a tautological consequence of the other, but you can also say that the first is a tautological consequence. Don't worry about consistency. We're not dealing with that. Once you've completed your assessment, now you can check to see if you're correct. And notice that you, what did I do wrong? False. Oh, I totally messed this up. You're probably listening to this going, Mia, they're not equivalent. What are you doing? I was thinking of an atomic sentence and a double negation. Sorry about that. But anyway, it's good for you to know, right? You notice they are not tautologically equivalent. I made an error, right? So I get a big X here. In addition, it's not the case that the first is a consequence of the second. Look at row 2. It's also not the case that, sorry, I said the first is a consequence of the second. I meant to say it's not the case, as you can see from row 2, that the second is a consequence of the first, right? Because the first is true, the second is false. And then also on row 1, we see that the first is not a consequence of the second, because on row 1, the second is true while the first is false. Okay, so let me give you another example since I probably totally confused you. Let me go ahead and make the following. I'll just go ahead and get rid of the negation. And as you know, when there's no connective involved in a sentence, you simply assert the same values that are in the reference column. So true, false, right? Now, when I make my assessment, I will be correct, right? So I get the green check mark. It is the case that the second sentence is a tautological consequence of the first. The first is a tautological consequence of the second. And that is because it's not the case that when one is true, the other is false, where the other is the purported consequence. And we know that this is the case for these two sentences because they are tautologically equivalent. Okay, so remember you're going to save your file. So this would be would Mia, and then I don't even remember what my instructions are for saving these things. So let's say we're dealing with, no, so let's say it's number 3, right? E2 dot 3, so E2, and then I'm just pretending that this is the third exercise, right? And I'm going to save it somewhere it's easy for me to find, and then I'll move on to my next animal. But when you're ready to upload, choose my file, and I find the relevant bool file, and then I upload it. And you can add multiple files, right? Okay. You may now let's go back to the exam. There's one in part 3. It may be the case that you submit a world. So what I've set Canvas to allow you to submit world and um, world files and sentence files if that's comfortable for you, if you want to. But what I really would want would be world files, and then of course you have to submit truth or bool files. Okay, so I hope this helps give you an idea of how we're going to work our second exam, which has now been moved online, as well as how we're going to work together virtually on Tuesdays and Thursdays. Please know that office hours remain the same. Even though I am not in the office, I am available to meet online. Remember that my office hours historically have been held in my office, but if you can't come to my office, you can always meet at the same time online. I'm just moving everything online. I'll be in my home office. So, as always, if you have questions, problems, confusions, let me know. Don't wait. I'm here to help.